Farmers from the Kigezi sub-region under their umbrella Greater Kigezi Patriotic Farmers Association have raised an alarm in protest against alleged fraud in the process to compensate landowners at the verge of being evicted from areas gazetted as wetlands. Their grievances were unveiled in a press conference held over the weekend by the association chairperson Mbabazi Pieli Nyetegeleze, who is also the Rwanda District Deputy Speaker of Council. At the same press conference, Mr. Mbabazi also shared a 4-page press release dated the 31st of August 2024, detailing the concerns of the aggrieved farmers. The complaints are particularly against a number of action plans and activities carried out by authorities in response to the June 2022 presidential directive ordering all wetland encroachers to vacate and leave room for restoration.
It happened that on 9th August 2024 at Cephas Inn, they called us in a meeting for that date, which was called by OWC, and we happened to be there on 9th, as I've said, August 2024. And that meeting was supposed to take 2 days. We prepared, and because of the sensitivity of wetlands in Kigezi, we had to go there. Of course, some did not make it on that first day. And as we were in the meeting, it reached at some point that they had to make sure, regrettably, reduce that 2-day meeting into 1 day. Of course, when they put that meeting into a 1 day, which was supposed to be for 2 days, many people who were supposed to attend did not attend that meeting. In that meeting, there are some few things which I want to first put down. One, the primary objective of the meeting was to conceptualize and discuss the presidential directive on the management of wetlands in Kigezi sub-region. However, the following challenges prevented the meeting from fulfilling its intended purpose. You are aware and you heard about the presidential directive of putting to the attention of people in wetlands to leave wetlands in all over the country, which is equally the same issue with Kigezi. And this was the meeting which was now part of that directive. They were looking at what was in that, supposed to be in that directive, and what was supposed to be there. But now, because of the challenges that came up out of that meeting, which was supposed to take 2 days and did not take, I want to put these things forward. One, there was inadequate attendance. Out of the ministers expected, this meeting was expected to have 9 ministers. Out of the 9 ministers expected, only 3 attended the meeting. The Deputy Speaker of Parliament of Uganda, who was scheduled to be the key speaker and close the meeting, was regrettably closed out since the meeting never proceeded to the next day. Key stakeholders, including religious leaders, councillors, and opinion leaders, were not invited on the pretext of high-level meeting, save for RDCs, DSOs, district chairpersons, speakers, and cows. You see, you can't come to Kigezi and you want to talk about swamps, and you leave out leaders like LOCs, like these parish chiefs, like the press. You the press now, because you are the ones who reach in people than anyone. Actually, even the arms of the government, you are the 4th arm of the government, save for the executive, parliament, and the judiciary. Now, when you don't invite the press and you want to talk about the swamps, which people are using in Kigezi, like actually 99% of it, I don't know exactly what someone would be thinking, and the reason is maybe best known to them. And you leave out religious leaders who meet these farmers almost on a daily basis, and you don't invite them. It is really very, very, very bad. Now, there was insufficient allocation of time The meeting initially planned for 2 days was condensed into a single day. This significant reduction in time hindered progressive discussion and thorough analysis necessary for such an important issue. Critically, summary meeting deliberations are not known. They got this meeting and they squeezed it into just 1 day. And you see in this meeting they had, when you look at the agenda, we had the time to discuss the things in Kigezi, the challenges and what was happening. But they condensed it and made it into 1 day meeting, and actually whatever even came out of that meeting, now we were taking almost a month when that meeting happened, because it was on 9th. Today is 31st. So we are remaining, after 3 weeks, no one in Kigezi, not even the ministers who attended, even us, me, I'm a speaker in Rwanda. Now even others, no one even who can tell you that we came out with this. You can't hear it in the press because they never invited you. You are not there. They never, whatever is happening, you can't even know what happened and even what came out of the meeting. And which now raises many questions of the agenda and what was supposed to be there. Now, concern regarding the presidential directive. The presidential directive on wetland management appears to be based on several assumptions that require careful examination, particularly Kigezi region. We wish to raise these points. You see, this presidential directive, when the president makes a directive, it is for the whole country. And it goes from Kisoro to border of Goma to Guru to anywhere across this country. When it is a directive, it cuts across. But now, when we look at this and even what he said, actually with him, he even said Kigezi of people should be treated in some way, not like other areas. But you see, when you look at what was being said and what was there, people were doing it, and the way they were managing the presidential directive is not the way it is stated. Where they are misquoting, I believe they are misquoting what he said, or they don't understand what he was saying when he was saying Kigezi people should be treated in a different way, not just take the directive that the way it was, because Kigezi has many things which we can look at this.
Over 32,000 people face eviction from wetlands in Kigezi, according to available statistics. The farmers have criticized the high-level meeting recently organized in Kabale district by the Operation Wealth Creation, OWC, in conjunction with the Ministry of Water and Environment and the National Environmental Management Authority, NEMA, to discuss implementation of the presidential directive. Participants in the high-level discussions held on the 9th of August 2024 at Cephas Inn Hotel, moderated by the Minister of ICT and National Guidance, Dr. Chris Variomunsi, included MPs, OC5 chairpersons, RDCs, CAOs, and other authorities from all the 6 districts of the Kigezi sub-region. However, there were no specific resolutions agreed upon, according to the Greater Kigezi Patriotic Farmers Association.
There is a letter which a Ministry of Environment wrote, and it was of May 25th, 2021. The directive reference a letter from Ministry of Water and Environment, State House dated to State House, dated 25th, 2021, which in turn cites an earlier letter, PO dated November 9th, 2019. This communication directs the immediate restoration of wetlands in Kigezi sub-region and Ngora districts, and instructed the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to budget for the compensating of 100,003 titled wetlands owners voluntarily surrendered their titles for the financial year 2020-2021. You see, in this letter, they were writing to the president, and they said, with us, when they were asking, before the genesis of this letter, from this Greater Kigezi Patriotic Farmers Association, we wrote, some farmers in Kigezi, we wrote and said, there is a problem. They are arresting people, they are doing all the kind of things that we are doing. When we wrote to the president, they wrote to the Minister of Environment. In return, the Minister of Environment responded to the State House in a letter where they clearly said, in Kigezi, and Ngora, not only actually in Kigezi, that and Kigezi and Ngora, that we want to compensate 103 abantu igana ashatu 103 igana bashatu, those who surrendered willingly or those who voluntarily surrendered their titles. And when you look at Kigezi and the millions of Kigezi people live around Ngora, before we go to Ngora, even if you look at these 103 are from both Ngora and Kigezi, where they cannot tell us how many we are from Ngora, how many we are from Kigezi. You can't know if they were 3 only from Kigezi, only or if they were 4 from Ngora, because it is saying, the letter is saying it is from Kigezi and Ngora, and they want to compensate only 103. Now look at the millions. Even if you go to Kigezi only, or in Rwanda or Kabale alone, you know Kigezi has 6 districts. Just go to one district and see how many people are using the wetlands. But they say we only want to compensate 103 only in the whole region of Kigezi. Now, this one, you look at someone say they surrendered their titles willingly, or they were not forced, or but we don't know who surrendered, who did not surrender, which criteria they used. There was there any sensitization? Now, another critical question is raised: how were these land titles surrendered, and what kind of sensitization was conducted, and for how long, despite the allocation of 1 billion? When you read in that letter, which is dated November 2019, you find 2021, no, which is dated 25th May 2021, you find that the ministry is acknowledging, because there was this committee which was being set, which had been set by the, which was being set by NEMA, Minister of Environment, and it was headed by then Prime Minister. They were allocated 1 billion, and it is clear in that letter that 1 billion was provided. Now, when you read at this, and that 1 billion was for identification, was for sensitization, and probably and other things that would be coming in. But now, in all over Kigezi, me, I'm a speaker in Rwanda. Now, I have never seen anywhere where the sensitization was. I don't know if you people, like a press, you might be knowing where this billion worked. Those are thousands, millions in Kigezi. To find that the sensitization, I don't know when, or it was this meeting which we last had, which was now accounting for that money which was released, because it is communicated well. Now, another question: how many people from Kigezi sub-region were involved in the process of sensitization and identification of these affected persons? If you are saying they were, the reason is clear that they wanted the titles from people whom they are saying that some 103 from Ngora and Kigezi surrendered willingly, how many people were involved in this? I don't know if you people of the press, if they invited you in those sensitization, or if you know them. Because as far as I know, no religious leader has been ever invited in Kigezi for this sensitization, not even stakeholders of this land, not even opinion leaders in Kigezi, even us leaders. It is only this meeting of 2024 August that I attended. I have never attended any meeting, yet I'm a leader here. Now, how do you tell us that you have titles that you have got from people they have surrendered when you have not done this sensitization? Actually, there is a question. We need to know where this billion went, who has it, and who did sensitization, and where. Now, of the 103 titled land owners claimed to have been identified and voluntarily surrendered their titles to government, how many are from Kigezi and how many are from Ngora? I think that one, you people, you will get it, because you go all over the country as a press. You will help us maybe to know, because if the ministries have kept it as theirs, which I know it is for a public, you will help us to know who and where and how many are from Kigezi. Suppose anyway, how many are from Rwanda, how many are from Rukunjiri, how many are from Kanungu, how many are from Ruchiga, how many are from Kabale, how many are from Kisoro, as that make this greater Kigezi, on this 103. Then leave alone save for Ngora. We don't know how many are from Ngora. So we need to know that. Another thing, what kind of fate for those who do not possess land titles but are bona fide brand owners? It is essentially to underscore that approximately 95% of the population in Kigezi sub-region does not hold land titles, including those using wetlands. Now, they are here, you know, all listeners and all people in this country, you know how people own land. Now, but we don't know, if here they are saying those who surrendered land titles willingly. But you see, in Uganda, save for Kigezi, maybe if I say from Kigezi, 95 or beyond that, above that, they don't have titles. If you go, let me say you go to Rwanda, you can even find that like 99% don't have them. Even in Kabale, even in Ruchiga, even in other areas in Rukunjiri. So 95% of people in Rwanda, including those who are in wetlands, they don't have land titles. Now, how do you say you are superseding those who surrendered land titles, yet people don't have them?
However, the farmers argue that the meeting was inadequately attended, many key stakeholders not invited, and the time allocated for deliberations was insufficient. They seek explanation on why the planned 2 days meeting was instead conducted in 1 day, cancelling out the second session, in which Deputy Speaker of Parliament Thomas Taibwa was supposed to give the closing remarks. Out of the 9 ministers expected to attend the meeting, only 3 were present, that is Honorable Henry Musasizi, Honorable Sarah Mateke, and Honorable Chris Badiomunsi, and the Deputy Speaker was crossed out. Mbabazi stated, adding that a number of stakeholders such as religious leaders, parish chiefs, and the local media, among others, were not invited. According to Mbabazi, the association has established that the Ministry of Water and Environment had written to the State House indicating that only 103 people with land titles from Kigezi region and Ngora district had been selected for compensation after they voluntarily accepted to peacefully vacate the wetlands. Mbabazi questioned the criteria used to identify the people who wanted to leave wetlands. His other concern was lack of specific numbers showing those from Kigezi and those from Ngora. Mr. Mbabazi also said that the association had substantial evidence that in the financial year 2021-2022, government released a total of Ugandan shillings 1 billion to facilitate identification of people occupying wetlands and sensitization about the pending mass wetland evictions in Kigezi, but the money was not accounted for. He says the money was to facilitate a special committee chaired by the Prime Minister and officials from the Ministry of Water and Environment and the National Environmental Management Authority, but the sensitization didn't happen. In their proposed way forward, the Greater Kigezi Patriotic Farmers Association proposes that the entire process to implement the Presidential Directive on Wetlands in Kigezi should be restarted. The farmers also demand that the process of sensitization, identification and land valuation must involve broad consultations with all affected stakeholders to ensure transparency and inclusiveness for stability and socio-economic transformation in Kigezi.
1 billion was released. It is not that it is going to be released. It was released in the financial of 2021-2022 to fast-track the sensitization, identification, evaluation of affected persons that were eventually mismanaged and fraud. The committee actions have led to the selective treatment. The majority of benefited land owners, including those with titles, no land titles, thereby exacerbating the challenges wetlands management in this region. When they gave these people the money, I believe they sat in their offices, took some tears and maybe taking this tea here. And they decided to sit and make what they decide on paper. And they say we have sensitized, we have identified, we have done everything. They never called the press, they never did anything. And they came and say, Your Excellency, we have really finished this, we have sensitized, we have done that. But let me tell you, I want to assure you, and I want to assure them, whoever, you those who sat in the chair of this committee, you the Minister of Environment, and those from NEM and others, you are lying and you lied to His Excellency, our fountain of honor, and we are not going to accept that. Not even in 1 second, we will not accept that. You have never sensitized, you have never identified, you have never done anything that can even show that you have been in this Kigezi. If you have records, you will bring them for all these regions and what you have done and how many you have sensitized and how you got these land titles. It's not good to find that you are making even to make people think that the president is chasing the people out of wetlands, when really you, the people, like now, if like this our man from Rwanda, from Ndorwa West, called the Honorable Mamwanga, really you are the one, he's the one who is supposed to be, actually he's the one who represents all wetland owners who are in wetlands. I've never seen him call meetings here and like maybe explains to us and all this. So they need to explain to us very well. In additional concern to and this justification, it is important to note, to highlight the unique challenges faced by Kigezi region, which requires special consideration on the basis of UBOS figures. I want to tell you, as we are here, that Kigezi has challenges, and these challenges we need to tackle them. However much we really appreciate and we are happy with the things of wetlands, even we want them to be restored. But we have to look at Kigezi. Kigezi is really it has situations which needs to be looked into before you even talk about wetlands. And among them, we have a high, and these ones are with the figures, and these figures are not from my head, are with UBOS. UBOS is for government. It is not that someone just goes and writes. They do research and they know what is happening. Now, when you look at UBOS figures, you find that Kigezi has one of the highest population densities in Uganda, averaging about 300 to 400 people per square kilometer, compared to other regions with 120 per square kilometer. This high density puts immense pressure on the available land, especially agricultural land. The population density in Kigezi includes wetlands and forests. It is crucial to restart the entire process of implementing the presidential directive in Kigezi wetland. As I have given you on the way forward, and as we have seen on all this, and we have seen the case study of Lake Mburo, which was given to people for a living, we need to go back now and go to the drawing board in implementing this presidential directive. And we say now, why can't we look at all this now in another angle and see how we handle this issue of Kigezi? So I pray and we pray that this issue of forcing people of doing what, where people have ate money for sensitization and they have not sensitized, where people have not done, they have done selective selection in identification of who is the owner and who is not the owner, and looking at the lives, at how people are living per square kilometer, 340 to 400 compared to other regions, looking at the terrain, as we have said, the terrain of Kigezi, looking at the infrastructure, looking at all these and how subsistently people of Kigezi are living in this farming. We must look and way of looking away how to start afresh the process of implementing this presidential directive.
Memory Aguma for iTelevision.
Kigezi, Kigezi, ensi yanje nyamurungi, amahanga gona nidokutangirira, nuhanga kakuhunda yakwijuzo bugiga, enshozi nepanga inyamisha n'amahamba, eshori murungi, eunijera n'injezi, ensiani nungi ebihingwa nitweza, binkurira ensi yanje menyesinza. Shimwa, mana shimwa, nitukusima, lugaba byona, owatangire, turyabanya Kigezi, nitukusimira, nensi yitu Kigezi, entima